Krisha Lenzo is a business analyst. Hilary Fordwich is a global business consultant, and we're very happy to have both of these ladies with us today to make sense of what we can expect on the Hill. Krisha, let me start with you. What do you believe we'll hear from the Federal Reserve Chairman today?
Well, he is on the hot seat. Jerome Powell, every single word is going to matter to the markets, and it starts with inflation. It was about a year ago, around this time, that the Fed started raising rates, and we are looking towards a potential another rate hike at the end of this month. Another important factor that's going to weigh in on the markets is what he says about the banks. The banks are anxiously awaiting whether or not he's going to be talking about an increase in regulation when it comes to their being capitalized and what that means for consumers with respect to lending. And then finally, if he is going to give any information about whether we are facing a recession. Larry Summers, the Treasury Secretary, did in a recent interview allude to that. We might be facing it. So every single word is going to matter today to investors.
So I want to talk to these bank rates. If they do go up, Hilary, I want to ask you this one specifically. What does this mean indirectly for the markets, but also how does this impact people's bottom line?
Well, of course, it's going to make, Sean, pleasure to be with you and Emma, but it's going to really obviously hit the consumer, especially those that are in the housing market, anybody looking to purchase a house, because, of course, for every percentage point increase in those Fed rates, that means increased payments in terms of interest. So it's going to affect the consumer. What Jerome Powell is facing, everything Krisha said is totally correct. He's facing down, don't forget, inflation, but also he's being grilled by Republican Senator Tim Scott and 9 others regarding the bank capital requirements. And as one thing I would like to quote is the CFO of JP Morgan Chase has said, you know, if they do increase these capital requirements, it's going to mean either the banks are going to do less lending or they're going to have to constrain, they're going to have to charge more to the consumer. So the consumer basically is in a lose-lose situation here, but this is all due to Jerome Powell trying to control inflation.
You know, Krisha, I wanted to ask you about how this could impact small businesses in particular. We know they were impacted so much during COVID, whether it be those restrictions about how they could operate their businesses. How is this inflation and these increased rates impacting mom and pop shops across the country?
It has certainly impacted mom and pop shops with respect to the sticky inflation. People are spending less on discretionary goods and they are focusing on general items like food, and even dog food has gotten increasingly expensive, forcing people to give up their pets. This is a real problem, and if we don't fight inflation at this point, it's just not going to end well for small businesses or corporations or companies. It's bad for everyone, but we have to be very careful as to raising rates. We don't want to have a hard landing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what, as you mentioned, with what gets lent out or what sort of loans will be approved and whatnot. But some big news from Best Buy today. They are partnering with Atrium Health for a hospital-at-home program. So they're going to be using the Geek Squad to set up virtual hospital rooms for patients who need home health care. Usually the Geek Squad comes in and sets up a television set, but is this a good move for the retailer? Hilary, I'm going to send this one to you. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Sean. Actually, it's huge. And as somebody who looks at the markets, all of us, anybody who's an investor, should look at always big macro trends. This links up with the graying of America. 28% of Americans are baby boomers. 10,000 baby boomers retire every day. What does that mean? Healthcare is a huge space, and home healthcare is going to become bigger and bigger. This means that all doctors, hospitals, nurses, they can focus on the patient care versus all the technology. For Best Buy, brilliant acquisition. They actually have had 3 acquisitions, including a UK firm, and they want me to be the translator. No, I'm kidding. But you should look at this space. Best Buy knows what they're doing. Home health care is the way of the future.
We've heard of work from home now. Now it's treatment from home in this case.
Yes.
Krisha Lenzo and Hilary Fordwich, thank you both for joining us today. I appreciate it.